Well, the first news poll for 2022 is not due until the beginning of next month. But as I mentioned on Wednesday, there was some research released from the Utting Group, which would have caused some heart palpitations within the Liberal Party, at least in WA, because it was data from that state showing that the two-party preferred lead to Labor is now 10 points, which correlates to a 10% swing against the government from the numbers in 2019. The PM's personal approval rating too has crashed with just a 28% approval, way worse than his last news poll score of 45%. Meanwhile, the Liberal branch of Willoughby in Sydney last night elected its replacement for the former Premier, Gladys Berejiklian. He's the GM at the Menzies Research Centre, Tim James, a Liberal Conservative, unaligned, would you believe, to Ms Berejiklian's moderate faction. So a change in Willoughby. Let's get a take on all of this and how the Morrison government might be tracking at the moment from the party's Federal Vice President, Teena McQueen. Teena, thank you so much for your time. Just before we tee off, what's your reaction to the cancellation of Djokovic's visa? The minister took his time.
Look, that's a tough one, and I think everyone's reluctant to comment because clearly it'll be before the court again. I think for ardent tennis fans, it's a huge disappointment because no matter what, they just want to see him play. I mean, it's a tragic situation for all concerned, and let's hope there can be some resolution to this. And it's just a shame it's distracting from a really wonderful event, Chris. That's what, upsets me a little.
Do you think there would have been... Do you think there would have been political considerations, bearing in mind that last survey 2 days ago indicated that 86% of Australians supported the cancellation of his visa? It would have looked bad for the Morrison government to not cancel the visa.
I don't think political considerations come into it, Chris. I think it's much bigger than that. And the minister, no, that wouldn't have come into account at all, I don't think. Clearly, he's taken his time, studied everything carefully. This is the decision he's come to. He believes it's the right decision. We just have to see this saga unfold.
Yeah, I think it's got a few more days, maybe even weeks to play out. Teena, you've had a look at this week's research from WA. Is it any concern, or does it say more about the vagaries of WA politics?
Yeah, it's more about WA. And look, it was a small sample, Chris. I think it was just over 600 people. As John Howard used to say, the only polling day that counts is on election day. That's the real poll. And look, we have an enthusiastic Prime Minister, enthusiastic members. The race hasn't even started, yet alone over. There's a lot of work to do. I think once the border opens up and McGowan finally opens up, because the Prime Minister is tremendous on the ground, he needs to be in WA. So the sooner those borders are open and the Prime Minister can get on the ground over there, we'll pick up speed considerably in that state, Chris.
Because you can't afford to lose those seats in WA. It almost guarantees that you can't form certainly a majority government.
We can't afford to lose seats anywhere, Chris.
Yeah.
It's our intention to pick up seats, and hopefully we'll do that everywhere.
So you think just having him in WA will give the government traction?
A huge boost. He really is a spectacular campaigner. He really is. And we need his presence in WA. And, the borders have to open at some stage, although McGowan is desperate to keep the Prime Minister out. But once they open, the Prime Minister will be on the ground and our fortunes will lift considerably in that state.
I wonder whether February 5 will see both Anthony Albanese and Scott Morrison walk into WA, because it is, a place where they've got to win. Albo as well needs to ensure that he takes those seats away.
I think they'll both arrive around 10 past midnight on February 5, Chris.
I wouldn't be surprised because they've been everywhere else. They just haven't been able to get to WA. How do you think the Prime Minister is tracking? I don't think it's been a great start to the year. He's taking the rap for just about everything at the moment. He's being blamed for, the lack of rapid antigen test, although he told the states in November to get their act together and start ordering them. And, of course, testing is in the hands of the states and territories, not in the hands of the feds. But he's taking the blame for that. There's the Djokovic thing. It was a stuff-up at a bureaucratic level, not at a government level. He'll gain some points with today's decision on Djokovic, but it hasn't been a great start to the new year, has it?
Look, last election, it wasn't a great start either. He's remarkable in that he can come back from tough situations. He's a fighter, and I'm sure he'll fight through this. There have been hurdles, but we intend to overcome them. And there's commentators such as the ABC and others. It doesn't matter if the cat down the road had kittens, they'd blame the Prime Minister, Chris. You know that. So he's used to that, and he'll fight through it, I'm sure.
Yeah. You were at the Willoughby branch meeting last night when Tim James was
Yep.
chosen to represent the seat of Willoughby at the next election and replacing, of course, the former Premier Gladys Berejiklian.
Yes.
Gladys is from the moderate faction. There was a moderate candidate there in the former mayor. She didn't win the seat. Was it a surprise to you? How did that happen?
Look, there were three outstanding candidates,
Yeah.
and honestly, the voting was very close all the way. And this is the beauty of pre-selections and plebiscites. You've got to fight to get those votes. And I think there's sometimes, misguided view that factions control things in the party. I'm not denying factions, but certainly last night it was a battle between three outstanding candidates. I think probably, yes, the former premier was supporting the former mayor, but I think a lot of people have moved on. They have faith in Premier Perrottet, and maybe a close alignment with the former premier may not have worked so well, Chris, in that, people want to look to the future and support the present premier. But having said that, she's a wonderful candidate. There's a lot of seats in New South Wales. Maybe we can find something for the other two candidates, but they all did a wonderful job, and it was a very exciting COVID-free night.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so what happens with the Zali Steggall seat of Warringah? I understand that there was a deadline tonight for submissions for the candidacy. They are in.
Yes.
What's
Yes.
the plan in reference to Warringah?
Well, I've only read in the papers. I don't have access to the latest nominations, but I believe a Lincoln Parker has nominated. I read in the papers for Warringah. So there will be a contested pre-selection there, and Lincoln's, a fabulous and outstanding guy. So again, it'll be another highly contested pre-selection. But look, Warringah, I've said to everyone, is going to be very, very tough for us to come back. We'll give it a best shot, but that's not one of the seats we've got particularly high hopes for, Chris. I'll be very honest with you.
Okay.
We'll do our best, but that's going to be very tough to win back from Zali. Not that she's outstanding.
No.
It's just there's some Fruit Loops down there that have backed us so heavily. Plenty of money on that Northern Beaches, Chris,
Sure
and they're
is.
all putting it in Zali's pocket. So.
Yeah, exactly. Teena McQueen, good to have you on the program again. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Chris. Lovely to see you.